I'm going to call the Board of Commissioners regular meeting Wednesday, February 23rd at 4 p.m. In order. So I want to do a roll call, please. Holt Ettinger.
Present.
Tim Warner.
Present.
Jeffrey Wright.
Present.
Tim Smith. Present. And Frank Harris. All right. Jim, if Frank is not on clarification, do I have to do a roll call on everything?
Yes.
Oh, you're bad.
Did you hear me or no?
Yes. Are you on, Frank?
Yeah.
Hey, let the record show that Frank Harris is also present, please. All right, so I would like to entertain a motion, approval of the minutes of the meeting Wednesday, January 26, 22.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I will second.
All in favor, Holt Ettinger?
Aye.
Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith? Aye. And Frank Harris? Motion passes. Meeting minutes are approved. Any public comment?
Yeah, good afternoon, board members, President Smith. On the way down here, and I don't know if it has to do with sanitation department, but on Jackson Street, just a couple blocks off of Michigan Boulevard, so I don't know if that would be 800 block or whatever else. But anyway, that'd be the northbound lane, I guess. Anyway, the concrete, because Jackson Street is concrete in that area, it's like, it's busted up and it's like sinking. So I don't know if it's due to maybe a water pipe that would be broke or a sewer that might be settling, but it seemed kind of out of the ordinary besides just a regular street having bad blacktop or bad concrete. Maybe something's going on there that we're not aware of. So I just want to bring that to the board's attention. Because I know that city engineer, Mr. Wright's here, and he might be able to check that out. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman Krebelowski. Any questions on that, Jeff?
I don't have any questions. I know the roads broke up pretty good, like already, and it's concrete, so we want to do the repair, but it's a little more expensive than a typical road, getting all that concrete out of there and putting asphalt back in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the plans are for Jackson Street, but I just thought what I saw there was a little bit out of the ordinary.
Right.
Besides some busted up concrete, because there was like a nice little swale in the roadway.
Yeah. So I was talking in the longer term. It's in the queue to get done, but that particular sag, I realized that...
I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention in case there's a problem going on there.
Great. Well, thank you. And so, is that is saying that's your department, right? It's not sanitary, or do we need to do something?
Well, we have to see where the sag is. Is it around a manhole? And then then there's a big discussion that happens of whether or not it's sanitary or the city's.
I think we should go to the state.
And it would be a lot easier. It would probably get done quicker if we gave it to the state, but...
Yeah, I don't know about that. So,
Maybe better
all right,
than that
well,
quicker.
So we need a little, we need some exploratory information.
Okay.
To see if the pipes leak in.
That was Jackson and the what?
No, Jackson Street, about a block and a half, 2 blocks off of Michigan Boulevard.
South of Michigan. 200 or 300
As you're coming down Michigan Boulevard, eastbound, then you go right on Jackson, and you just go down about a block and a half, and there's, I don't know, looked like it was about 5 feet in diameter.
Wow, that's not a small
200 or
one.
300 block, 1, 2, 3, 400. 400 is the marker. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
check it out.
Yeah, if you can, Mike, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Any other public comment? Seeing that there's none, public comment is closed. And I should have done this at the beginning of the meeting. I'd like to welcome our new general manager, Michael Milanovic. And Mike, we welcome anything we can help you with as the board. We want to be supportive, so we're looking forward to working with you. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, as I do working with you.
All right, so item 4.
Did you approve the minutes?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. If I wouldn't have, our attorney right here, you know, eagle eye.
Okay.
So, item 5, Dan McCoy. Dan, you're on the phone today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me well?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, on injuries in the last month, both the Refuse Department and Water Reclamation Department did not have any recordable injury cases, and that's outstanding. And as I've shown in my report, that in the Refuse Department, the last reportable case was on 11/9/21, and then the last one that occurred in the Reclamation Department was 12/2/21. And so we hope that we can continue that, and look forward to having a year in which we have a lot fewer entries than last year. That's what we're striving for. Look forward to work like to see how we can make some improvements in that area. In addition to that, your record keep that's required each year. Got that submitted, and it was also certified by the personnel director. Submitted it not only as a posting, but also as required by OSHA, put on their electronic sites, their electronic platform. Other activities, began work on the Tier 2 report, and I did finish that up in February, which I'll report more on next month. I'd like to say just a big shout out to the folks in the Refuse Department. We were able to accomplish 100% completion level with 23 of the 24 employees. The 24th employee is off recovering from surgery. I hope to see him back next week or two, and then he will finish up his training. So that's, I really appreciate that, and I think it's showing, I think we're seeing evidence of that training and just a better awareness of safety moving forward. Other activities provided information about cold stress, minimizing falls on ice. And then what I wanted to bring to your attention, I talked about what is the summary of work-related injuries and illnesses that we're required to post every February. And I've included exactly what is posted and what was approved by the city personnel manager. And so you can see that information. What we see there is we have a number of days away from work cases. And I think what we want to do is try as much as possible to find restricted work activities, if you will, that fit guidelines of the treating physician, so that we can, be able to provide work for these employees rather than them being compensation. So I think that's something that we should try and focus on this year as well. So that's the report for the month. Are there any questions, please?
Hey, Dan, it's Frank Garrett.
Yes, Frank.
Have we set up any posting as far as goals that we're trying to achieve as far as lost work day and injury rate?
When Mr. Cox was president, we set up a goal of having any lost workday injuries, but that wasn't, we need to do a better job of communicating that. And I think Mike and I can work on that.
But one of the
Written goals and getting that out to everyone in the district.
one thing I say about that is that, you know that you're going to, there's always going to be some instances. So we need to start and set a goal, I think, of something that's realistic that we can strive to achieve, and then go from there on. And maybe, Mike, we can look at some way of rewarding the employees once we achieve this goal.
Yes, sir.
What I'll do, I'll work with Mike on that and have a proposal for you that we can take a look at. I have a tendency to lean towards looking at proactive activities rather than looking at past performance and reward for that. For example, we should set up a goal which says that you get all the truck inspections you're supposed to get done in a month, and if you get that done, there's recognition for that. And activities such as that, or that you turn in near miss reports, or you turn in other activities like that are sort of forward-looking, and then many times that takes care of that takes care of the situation, and rather than looking at the history.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you there, but we need to have something to start to see that we are improving. That's my own.
Yes, sir. I agree 110%. And I will work with Mike on that and with the other managers so that we can have something like that going forward.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, anything else, Dan?
No, sir.
Any other questions for Dan from the commissioners? Okay, thanks, Dan, appreciate it. Next on the agenda, do we have a COVID-19 health emergency update, Michael? Or are we just, right now we're kind of, how are we doing?
Well, the most recent strain of virus seems to be waning somewhat, so I don't have an official update from the state.
Okay. Well, I mean, for our department.
For our department,
Yeah,
sorry.
I mean, how are we doing with employees being out, sick, and
I could add in on this.
that would
Yes.
One employee tested positive in January,
Okay.
and that employee worked from home productively, didn't lose any time,
Okay.
and they are back to work now.
Great. Okay. That sounds like we've trended downward too, so that's great. Scott? Financials?
Good evening. I'll start by reading the cash balances. The operating fund had $1,384,087.92. The municipal fund had $3,829.69. Improvement fund had $957,817.26. Vehicle replacement fund had $84,464.04. Replacement fund had $726,572.31. The grant fund had a balance of $0 for a total at Horizon in that bank account of $3,156,771.22. Indian Springs had $6,458.32. Whippoorwill at $338.88 for a total in that bank account of $6,797.20. The SRF debt reserve had $499,651.14, and the SRF bond and interest had $249,893.42 for a total at BNY Mellon of $749,544.56. Stormwater at $697,027.82. The municipal account and tax levy at $1,322.10. Refuse at $1,434,483.15. The special revenue account at $3,090.04. The levy excess had $8,522.14. The tax levy grant fund had $137,726.54, and the rainy day fund had no balance, for a total in that bank account of $2,282,171.79. So the subtotal before the Carwick fund was $6,195,284.77. The Carwick remediation fund had $238,362.13 for a total cash balance of $6,433,646.99. And just overall, we're pretty much, month to month, it's pretty much steady. We've transferred, the money into the improvement fund, vehicle replacement, equipment replacement. In February, you'll see, February 1st, we always make the SRF debt payment, and that's like $239,000. And then we made an equipment replacement payment for the ESG stuff, and that's roughly $195,000. The good news is on the ESG, that was the next to last payment. So after August, we'll have paid off all the energy savings program.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and that's like $390,000 a year. So overall, our cash is pretty good. It's just constant. It doesn't really. I think we're pretty good across the board on the cash.
Okay.
So, any questions?
Hold. Any questions from any of the board members?
Yeah.
Nope. Not yet. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. The next three things I put in the packet were the budget performance reports by fund. Last month I did a summary, one-page summary that you liked.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that quarterly if it's okay with the board.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, because on a monthly basis, it doesn't really say a lot.
Yeah.
And we have certain payments that occur, like this month, January, or February, we had the vacation bonus and stuff like that. And then we had some people leave, as everybody knows. And there were, costs associated with them leaving too because of vacation sellbacks, sick sellback. So I think it'd be better to look at it quarterly than monthly.
Okay.
So anyways, and we're pretty, you can see, until I hear from the man to my right, you can see we're doing okay. Okay, hit me with your best shot.
No. Just taking a peek at our refuse performance report. It just appeared, and maybe there's some explanation. 8203 fund, refuge total revenue year-to-date transactions at 36,194.1 or 94. It just seems like revenue was a little soft there at 1%.
Yeah, most of the revenue happens in June and December. That 36 is the local option income tax.
Okay.
And we get 36,000 a month. And depending on how stormwater and refuse are doing, that's where I put the money. Because I kind of have an option on the option. So that's why it's only that.
So we'll get hit.
Yeah, you only really see revenue in those two funds in June and December.
Very good.
And that's about it. That's all I have. I was going to stay here because next person on the agenda
Charlie, yeah.
is Charlie.
Yeah.
And we met Monday. Charlie, Mike, myself, and Matt
Okay.
to discuss the insurance.
Okay.
And I won't steal his thunder, but
Nope.
it's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, no, go ahead and stay there though.
Okay.
I mean, you know, the man to your right, he may ask some questions.
That's all right. I like it.
So, all right, any other questions from Scott before Charlie comes up?
Yeah, anybody have any?
No, those having those reports are really nice. Just to-
Yeah, and like I said, I'll summarize them quarterly. Yeah, okay.
Charlie, you want to come up?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thanks for having me to your board meeting. Scott, appreciate that.
Try to keep you out of here.
So as Scott mentioned, Mr. Miladovich, Scott, myself, and Matt, my associate, met on Monday to kind of review this. I'll keep this presentation very brief and high level, but please feel free to ask me any questions as we go through this. So,
Okay.
if you turn your attention to page 4 of the presentation, first section at the top, I outline a 7-year loss analysis for the district. So if you kind of scroll down through there, specifically the last 4 years have been very, very good from a loss perspective. That has served the district well when it comes to premium, which we'll discuss here momentarily. And then next section on that page, the market review. So as in typical fashion, we go out to the marketplace to see what's out there. And as you can see, we've gone to Travelers, who is the incumbent carrier. Obviously, they offered a renewal. Liberty Mutual, Trident, Argonaut, and Houston Casualty Company have all declined because of they're not competitive with your current program. So, if there aren't any questions, turn into page 5. First section at the top, the 2022 program cost summary. Expiring premium, $227,466. Renewal, $233,881. And that represents a 2.82% increase. 1.5% of that increase is rate, and the remainder, 1.32%, is exposure. And exposure is simply the increases in coverages that we have taken at renewal, which I'll review here briefly.
And you might just want to tell the board how that kind of compares to what you're seeing across the market.
Yeah, good thoughts.
Yeah, I'm here to help you.
Yeah, so this is as I was telling at the meeting earlier this week, this is the best renewal I've delivered in 18 months. So from a market standpoint, this is the best renewal for a public entity that I've had in 18 months. So and the losses, it boils down to, is the account profitable to an underwriter, and it's been very profitable, as you can see from the loss analysis that I have. So keep up the good work on that front.
Yeah, because across the board, what were you saying, like 10%?
Oh, we're seeing anywhere from 8 to 25% increases.
Yeah, so.
Now, granted, you don't have some of the exposures that other parts of public entities have and utilities have. So, but having said that, like even in the private sector, we're not seeing. I mean, we're seeing 6 to 10% rate increases across the board. So, we're pretty happy with this. So if there aren't any more questions, I'm just going
to... I'm sorry.
No.
Just one last thing, and I budgeted, we're up within budget on all this, so...
That was a question I was going to ask at the end.
Yeah, I have it budgeted. I actually budgeted for a bigger increase.
Okay.
Not a
Don't tell Charlie that.
No, I know.
Wait,
I don't.
premium just went up.
Yeah, no, the commission just went up. Premium's the same, it's the commission. Sorry.
Hey, you weren't supposed to talk about that.
I know. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
We got in black and white and green then.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm just going to highlight the changes in coverages that account for that exposure increase. So if you turn to page 6 of 8, third section, commercial property, increasing the building and business personal property blanket limit, which includes all the district's building structures and business property, which is stuff that's not permanently attached to the buildings, from roughly 59 million to 61 million.
Charlie, do you have a breakdown of that by site?
Yes. Not with me today.
No, but can you send it to me?
Sure.
Okay.
Matt, I'll get that over to you.
No, because State Board of Accounts, now we have to start accounting for all our fixed assets, and that would help me in setting all that up too.
Yeah.
This includes all the new vehicles and all that stuff.
No, this isn't vehicles, this is just buildings.
So does that include all of the new technology and stuff like that we've encountered? Is there any of that in there at all?
I'll let it pass it.
Yeah. So we have a separate limit for
Because that's what I was going to add.
the technology. Last section on that same page, we have 750,000. We have not changed that.
All right.
We have we've gone to the cloud for most of our financial software, so we don't have to have a lot of hardware, right?
Okay. All right.
So that's the one thing that's keeping that kind of.
Okay.
I believe IT is working on a list of equipment that they have.
Yeah, they've taken it's comprehensive. We're trying to break it down and make it easier so that Charlie can do something with it.
That's okay. All right, great.
And then the fourth section on page 6, the district's equipment. So that would be things that are not licensed for road use. For instance, dozers, boring equipment, any equipment that may leave the premises for use of district operations is included in that limit.
Okay.
And so that went up slightly from just a little over 2 million to a little over 2.1 million. And I think that accounts for the new boring machine.
Yeah, directional boring. Yeah, for the fiber optic project.
Yeah. Okay.
And then on page 7, the only change on this page, first section, the auto coverage. We're on a composite rated policy, which means we kind of rate it based on number of vehicles. It affords all, so there isn't a problem with coverage. So it's kind of a blanket policy. And so we use kind of the number of vehicles at the beginning of the year, and then it's audited at the end of the year to adjust the premium. So if you have less net units, you get a refund. If you have more, you pay additional premium. So we're starting off this year 1 unit higher than last year, from 71 to 72, to account for some of the new dump trucks, and then we took a couple vehicles off, so net 1 increase.
Okay.
Yeah, for the Volkswagen Trust, we had to get rid of 3 diesel dump trucks for the ones we added. So I'm not sure that's 72. That 72 might come down, but we're talking about it.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we're finalizing the list, so it actually may be lower than that.
Okay.
So that summarizes the changes. I've covered everything I want to cover. Are there any questions?
I have one, Charlie.
Sure.
Where would cybersecurity fall under?
That's a great question. We have it built in to this program. I didn't outline it. Be happy to talk to you offline.
But we're covered.
We're
All I want to know is if we're
It's
covered.
yes, it's included in there.
and we're separate from,
The city.
Okay.
Civil.
Great question.
but we'll walk you through it.
Can you explain that to me maybe after the meeting?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
I just want to verify that we're covered.
Yeah,
Yeah, we are covered.
yeah, I mean, that's, I was gonna ask about that, but thank you, Jim.
It's been the biggest change in our industry, the biggest hotspot, especially when it comes to public entities and utilities. They've been targeted nationally. So, yes, it's been a ride.
But it's the other way too, there's if, say, employee is malicious or whatever, it's also covered, correct? Yep. In that, okay, cybersecurity.
Yep.
All right. Okay, any other questions?
Thanks for providing this prior to our meeting.
Now, but there is one last thing, right? We would like your approval on this renewal now,
Okay.
if we could, because our policy is up when?
March 1st.
March 1st.
Okay, so I'm gonna say what I did when I wasn't president, is, I'd like this in advance and give all the board members a chance to review it a month in advance. So if we can't do it this year, I will say no to it next year if we don't have it in advance. So, Charlie, we talked about that, a year ago, and I'd asked specifically for that. So,
I will do my absolute best.
Okay, all right.
That I can promise you.
okay, because I think we all want to look at it. It's great that we trust you and we appreciate everything and you guys do a good job, but I think it's good for us to take a look at it and have at least a meeting to review this large of a expense from the department, from the, the Board of Commissioners.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I completely,
Okay.
I agree 100% with you.
Okay.
And I'll do my best to deliver that.
All right.
So we're talking January then, to get them, this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
So I'm gonna hold you to that, Scott.
Hopefully I'll still be here.
All right, any,
I'll hope that.
yeah. So if there's no questions, I'd like to entertain a motion for the renewal of the sanitary district's insurance, property and casualty risk insurance, I guess. Jim, is that a good motion?
I'm waiting for you.
2.8, I'll second it.
Frank, second it. All right, all in favor, Holt, Ettinger,
Aye.
Tim Warner,
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright,
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye, and Frank Harris.
Aye.
All in favor, passes. Thanks, Charlie.
thanks, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mike, I'm gonna let you take over right now with some of the updates. I know we've got this grant agreement in here, so I think I'll let you walk us through that, please.
Yes, I'd like to invite our operations manager, Steve Stanford, to assist with this.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, the first project update we have is the White Ditch Dredging Project. And the first item in the packet is this grant agreement with the Indiana Finance Authority for a state transportation and stormwater grant. This grant is actually fully executed between us and the IFA, and it provides $120,452 against a contractable project cost of $189,741. This is something that we've been trying to get done for a long time, being that we're responsible for the ditches. These second items under that project are contract papers for HRP construction. You've got a notice of award in the packet here, and then a construction agreement. I'd like to ask the board's approval to enter into this construction agreement with HRP.
Jeff, I'm gonna ask you, what's everything, and Tim, what do you guys think? Is that, any questions or comments?
No, I have no questions on the notice of award and contract.
Okay.
He's talking about the contract itself.
Yeah. Holt, do you have any Frank, do you have any questions?
No.
Seeing that there's none, I'd like to ask for a motion to enter into the construction agreement with HRP Construction.
I'd like to make a motion with that effect.
Second,
I will second that motion.
all in favor, Holt Anger,
Aye.
Timothy Warner,
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright,
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye, Frank Harris, all in favor, motion passes. This is great, because we've been trying to get this done for a while.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. How many times have we tried to go?
How
Yeah,
many years in a row?
I know, this is great, thank you.
The next project is...
So, question first. Tell me about the grants. Are there... I don't know how to formulate the question the right way, because some grants, there's criteria that is really subtle, and some of them are pretty straightforward. And are we sure we've met all the subtle? You're right there. You want to make sure. Everybody, okay, everybody knows where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Okay, so have we got all the subtle?
There are federal dollars in this grant,
Okay.
and we had a kickoff meeting with Jim McGough at the IFA on this thing, and we went over a lot of those kind of topics.
Okay.
And I believe we've got everything covered, Jeff.
Okay. I wouldn't want to award the contract and then
Did they review
have them mad at us, and, you know.
You may want to forward them a copy of it.
I'll be glad to do that.
You know, you could have had me answer that question.
Before we voted, right? No, I'm good with it.
Okay. All right, so, Steve,
Yes,
you want
sir.
to go on with the next one?
Yes, sir. The next one,
Thank you.
just kind of related, it's another grant from the same source under the same program. The first item is this notice of award letter from the Indiana Finance Authority advising us that we're eligible for $62,370 in grant funds for this project. This is the US Highway 12 and Custer Avenue Vicinity Stormwater Drainage Improvement Project. The IFA has informed us that we need to commit to covering at least $9,240 of the project. And it could be more. The project cost could be somewhat more or less because this project is not designed and it's not been bid yet.
So what's the project match from the IFA? I mean,
It works out to 67%.
okay,
It's 2/3 of the project cost.
okay. So no
It's
matter,
62,000.
no matter if it goes up or not, then it's still around 63.
No.
The grant is 66.
The grant's gonna stay there.
The match is 33.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Based on our estimated cost for the
It
job.
could vary depending on the grant and the job. But
Okay,
Right.
all right.
And the cost of this job will be somewhat in our control, as I'm going to come to next week. On the strength of this commitment from the IFA, we entered into a PSA with John Doyle to survey the intersections and do a design for us to make the improvements.
Okay,
This is underway. The value of his PSA was $9,000, informational.
I can see that it's fixed fee.
Right. The third item I'd like to call to your attention, we've got this letter to Jim McGough, but this is really just the transmittal letter for the resolution that follows. So I think we should look at the resolution first. This resolution does a couple of things. Approves the acceptance of the grant award for the $62,000. Commits us to spending it on that project, the project match, and so forth and so on. I'd like to ask the board's approval. I'd like to ask the board to enter it and make this resolution on the sanitary district's behalf.
Okay. Any questions at all from board members? Okay. Seeing that there's none, I'd like a motion for resolution number 1446-22, approving the appropriations of funding, providing the required match, and the use of the grant and matching funds, please.
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Second?
I'll second Chris Fine.
Thank you, Frank. Holt A. Ettinger,
Aye.
Tim Warner,
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright,
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye, and Frank Harris. Motion is approved.
Thank you. This,
John's moving forward on backing up to the...
yes, sir, it
He's
is.
moving forward on it.
Yes, the weather's been a little tough with the snow piles and so forth.
Okay.
But they have started doing the survey work. This letter that I included in here, this is just a transmittal letter where Mr. Mladovic will send the resolution to the IFA.
Okay.
And I'm optimistic it will result in a grant agreement, just like the one for the White Ditch project.
I'll pass it down to Holt, please.
The next one is the Adams Park Stormwater Drainage Improvement Project. What we've got before you all is a resolution to allow us to apply for a Sustainer Great Lakes Fund grant to design and construct this project. We're committing in the resolution up to $292,772 in matching funds. So this is a 50-50 grant type of project. One of the grants that we had for the Cheney Run project was quite similar. We will be asking Delta and Associates is preparing the application for this, by the way, to help us find other funds to make match. I don't believe we can't match federal dollars with federal dollars, though. So it have to be another source.
The redevelopment commission's gonna be kicking in some substantial amount.
Okay.
Exact amount to be determined.
Thanks for remembering that for us.
This is a project discussed at the Stormwater Advisory
Yes.
Group.
And this
Yes,
is,
sir.
you may recall you did the same thing last year for the same project, and we got the grant just ultimately did not get approved.
Yeah.
So it's just a replay of.
Delta's making some improvements. They're tuning up our application based on feedback from NIFWIT.
Okay.
The pre-proposal is due February 28th, and I believe we need this resolution to make the pre-proposal.
Okay.
And then the final, the actual full proposal is due on April 18th.
Okay. So, any discussion? Seeing that there's none, I'd like a motion, please, from the commissioners to approve Adams Park Stormwater Drainage Improvement Project, Resolution 1447-22.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Fine, second.
Thank you, Frank. All in favor, Holt A. Ettinger,
Aye.
Tim Warner,
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright,
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye, and Frank Harris.
All right.
All in favor, motion passes.
The next project is the 4th Street Alley Sanitary Sewer Main Repair. This project has been discussed before the board previously. This repair work by Woodruff & Sons took place over a 10-day period between September 20th, 2021 and October 4th, 2021. The alley, and this was the sanitary sewer in the alley between Leeds Public House and the Ritz Club. This is the alley that collapsed on us.
Okay.
And this turned into a big job with a lot of complications and a lot of utilities along that corridor. Woodruff did a very nice job for us, and as a result, I'd like to recommend approval and payment of invoice number 621 in the amount of $109,295.79.
Any discussion from the board? Questions?
Just so you know, I'd like to use the improvement funds to pay for this.
Okay.
It's not gonna come out of the operating fund.
Okay,
We have roughly 950,000. We have the money to pay for it.
okay.
So,
Yeah, out of the improvement fund, no one else has any, I'll make that motion to pay invoice number 61621.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, Holt Ettinger?
Aye.
Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye. Frank Harris? Motion passes.
The next item is automatic voltage equalizers for the blower building and the filter building. This is an undertaking initiated by Mr. Cuss when he was in charge. These are devices that serve as heavy-duty filters and surge protectors, and they're also capable of making up for a grounded-out phase on a three-phase power supply, which is nice because if NIPSCO grounds out one phase, our motors will keep running on two phases, but they'll get hot. It'd be very bad for them.
Okay.
Last year we put one of these AVE units to protect the servers in our server building, and reports from Andy is that they seem to have been quite helpful. A second one has already been installed in the blower building, and what you have here is a special purchase justification with single brand requirement, sole source justification, substantial saving, and avoiding impairment of functionality. The blowers and the filter building, the controls, are all mission critical for the water treatment process. So that's sort of shown in the justification memorandum. The next item is purchase order number 6345 in the amount of $49,756. This actually covers the installation in each of the two buildings. There's three components: the AVE unit itself, a power quality analyzer, and a router so that the provider of this equipment can keep an eye on it for us. So I'd like to have the board's approval to issue this purchase order to EM Energy Solutions, LLC.
Any questions from board members? Seeing that there's none, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve purchase order 6345 in the amount of $49,756.
Move to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor, Holt Ettinger?
Aye.
Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith? Aye. Frank Harris? Motion passes.
Next item, there's nothing in the packet on the biosolids handling study. This was talked about in January. This is a study that we've contracted with Woodard and Curran. This is to evaluate sludge drying opportunities and costs. They provided us a draft report in January. We provided them comments on their report February 11th. I expect that we'll be receiving their final report sometime quite soon. And we can talk more about that in March.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. The Cheney Run Stormwater Project, similar as last month, B3 undertook a couple of repairs to the overflow structure. The first time they did it, it washed out. The second one, Ted Blonick incorporated some polymer mesh to hold the rock piles together. And I went out there today to look after the heavy rain that we recently had. Seems to have, for the most part, held together. But as Ted Blonick has said, we're going to need some bigger rocks out there to reinforce that overflow. And I'm going to send this information to Ted and get his input on that.
Okay.
On the Carwick dump site, We considered a certificate of final completion in January, but on staff's advice, and my advice remains to evaluate the vegetation growth in the early 2022 growing season to be sure that it meets the specifications before we accept the final completion. Weaver Consultants Group delivered a very nice looking draft construction documentation report for this project, and we're still reviewing it, and we'll give them any comments that we have.
Okay.
There's a multi-year monitoring and inspection requirement because of the nature of the project. Do we have somebody under contract to do that?
We do.
And that would
It's
be
Weaver Consultants.
Okay.
They're already under contract for 2022 monitoring. Next thing is the North End study. This was the quantitative modeling study on the North End sanitary sewer system that we contracted with Strand and Associates. A little bit of an update in your packet. There is an email from Michael Ott to me and Michael Cuss. They've got the model ready to look at. They've got it running, and they want to present it to us. It's actually on my calendar to meet with them by Teams tomorrow at 2 p.m. It's informational only.
Hey, just a quick question.
Yes.
We're calling it the North End study, but I saw in Strand's email that they say East End Area Project. I'm assuming those are just different names for the same thing.
Yeah, yes, sir. That's correct.
Is there any way in the future we could have Strand just either call it the same thing so it doesn't get confused in my head, my file, as
Yes.
well as maybe anybody else?
Let's not call it East End because it's not East End.
Yeah, so. And the other thing, looking at it, they said they were available today. Did you meet with them today, or have you not set up a meeting?
No, sir. Today I already set up. Yeah, just got on the calendar for tomorrow, recognizing that today would be very busy.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
The next item is the Long Beach Sewer Project. There's a lot of it. I see Mr. Mowers here if you'd like to invite him to the table.
We have two representatives from Haas and Associates.
I'm going to step back and give them the floor.
Thanks, Steve. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Steve.
I submitted a written project status update to Mr. Stanford and Mr. Milatovich and Mr. Gorsica yesterday, and I've got it here in hard copy form for all of you. So if you could please take one, pass around. I'll walk you through this update. Thanks. So project schedule and bidding, our goal has been to issue the first advertisement to bidders on March 1st. It looks more likely that's going to be closer to March 8th at this point. And that date is kind of a floating date at this point, dependent on some final design and permitting types of issues that we're still working out. It's definitely not going to go past April 1st. That April 1st is a hard deadline for this first advertisement to bidders, and that's per the SRF loan requirements. If it were to go after that, then the funding would come to question. So I'm going to skip that next part under project schedule and bidding and come back to that at the end. Regarding the SRF funding process, we have submitted the front-end document certification to the SRF as of today, and we are waiting from them in return a bid authorization letter, which we will use as approval from them to go forth with the bidding. It's not required that you wait to get that, but they strongly recommend that you not proceed with bidding until you receive that bid authorization letter. It looks like we'll probably receive that on Monday. However, typically it can take 1 to 2 weeks to receive that from them. And thank you for promptly signing that, Mr. Milatovich. That was much appreciated.
My pleasure.
And technical design progress, we're finalizing details regarding the proposed sanitary laterals for the project. As you can probably imagine, the laterals are a pretty big component to this project. It's a fairly narrow right-of-way. I think there are 300 laterals now, and many of them will be 8 feet deep. So that means in some places a potentially large trench that will disturb a lot of the fancy materials that have been constructed in the public right-of-way. There's quite a few situations where there's retaining walls or other specialty materials that could be like reinforced concrete or heated concrete or special stones or you name it, it's out there. So we're working through those complexities right now. In fact, we just met with Mr. Gorsuch and John Wall and Bob LeMay, the president of the Town of Long Beach Town Council, yesterday to talk through that. We'll be meeting with them again maybe this week, more likely early next week, to finalize some discussion regarding that topic. But that's really the only remaining design issue to overcome before we move forward with the bidding. So with that, we are, as I've explained, we are going to be moving forward with bidding between March 1st and April 1st. So we're requesting the board's approval to go forward with that bidding process at this time. And I would imagine that you may want to put that as contingent upon your technical and legal review in-house. But that is, we would need your approval. If we can get it today, that'd be great. Then we would not need to have a special meeting or do it at the very last minute before the April 1st deadline.
Questions from board members?
Not for me. I've kind of had my fingers on the pulse of the thing as it's been developing along. And as long as all the tech stuff is in place, and I didn't go through and check every number on but I have the general concept and everything's kind of reasonable, nothing outstanding. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be able to go to bid.
But I said bidding is not award, so you bid it and see what happens anyway.
Are the bids coming here?
Will the bids be opened here?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're issuing them.
That's correct.
So it may be the case, I think we're looking to have 4 weeks, give the contractors 4 weeks from the first advertisement until the bidding. So it will likely require a special meeting of this board.
Is 4 weeks enough time for something like this?
President Smith, if I may suggest,
Yes.
contingent also on the receipt of the bid authorization letter from SRF.
Well, the bidding you can
Do without the letter.
right.
Just awarding, you wouldn't do it.
You won't bid award it until you get written approval of the bid from the SRF.
So, we're just...
You're just authorizing it to be advertised.
Yeah.
A condition upon my review and any other technical review that's required.
Okay.
There's no violation of the SRF if we advertise before we get the letter.
Correct.
They just, as far as I can tell, they do not have a firm ruling on that. They just recommend it, that you don't proceed with bidding.
Right. But I haven't they recommend you do not proceed with the actual advertising. You can vote on it today, and by the time I receive the final version and have a chance to review
I have
it,
this letter in hand.
this letter you will have received either their approval or comments, and if there's comments, they'll have to be incorporated into the bid documents.
Yeah, so that's why you're suggesting that it needs a review first, because you're the gatekeeper. Right. Okay. Oh, you guys okay with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I'm good with bidding projects as long as the subtleties
Again.
Already addressed.
All right, so I'm gonna ask for a motion on the Long Beach sewer project, and looking for a motion to move ahead with the bidding process as long as our technical and in-house experts review it first.
I move exactly what Tim Smith just said.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor, Holt Edinger,
Aye.
Tim Warner,
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright,
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye, Frank Harris. Okay, motion passes. Thanks, guys. Thank you. So Jim, we'll look, and Scott, we'll look at you guys to be and Steve. You guys are the team on that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yeah, there's some other things.
John Gorska, of course.
Oh, John, yeah.
And it's really John's project, isn't he?
Yeah, it's John,
Project
yeah.
Continuing the Long Beach project, double I, just informational that we've got a public records request on file for this. Those records have been compiled, and I think you've got an appointment to review some of that.
Friday morning, 8:30 at Andy's office,
Fantastic.
before we send it out.
Okay.
And then, Mr. Meyer, I put that next line in there. There's nothing in the packet. It's just as a cue. If you wanted to say anything about this House Bill 1245.
Yeah, House Bill 1245 was introduced and passed out of the House a couple weeks ago, and it's set for a hearing before the Senate Environmental Committee on Thursday. And it's basically well, all of you know Long Beach, so you know there's two groups in Long Beach and they don't like each other, and if one says yes, the other one says no. This group has gotten Representative Pressler and others to submit a bill that would allow anyone with a functioning septic tank not to have to tie up to a sanitary sewer in an incorporated area, which is the north part of Long Beach. You may recall the district incorporated the area covered drainage area for this project, and so this is what it would apply to. If that were to be passed, then just for background, this all kind of came to light 2 or 3 weeks ago, and by the time things kind of got knowledgeable, or I get knowledgeable about it, they Long Beach hired a Corydon, some of you may or may not, they're a relatively large lobbying firm in Indianapolis, they've been around a long time, to lobby against the bill. I spoke to the mayor, and he pretty much recommended that the sanitary district hire its own, which we did. We'll pay through Corydon. She doesn't work, it's a lady, whose name is Kelly McGregor. She works on her own, she has her own firm, and for a flat fee of $10,000, she will be and is lobbying for us. If anybody wants to go down to Indianapolis on Thursday morning, right now they're talking about at 10 o'clock for the committee hearing, you know.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting 8 teeth pulled out.
Having been on those things before, I think I'd rather have the root canal. But anyway, that's if that eventually gets passed, and it's up in the air at this point.
Jim, I heard different things. One was talking about the homeowner would have to have his septic system inspected and
Yes.
have to pass. The other was, I heard it has to be 2 years old or newer. Have you heard that?
No.
See, it was
I read
weird things I heard on the news.
Yeah, no, I read the actual bill. I have a copy of it.
I'm sorry.
And it's on black. Because it's page after page. But in any event, no, there is a requirement that it be inspected. You might, Tim, be familiar with the
septic system.
This is the same kind of wording that is in these statutes for the regional sewer districts. But yes, you have to, the homeowner has to notify the health department that it has a function, they believe they have a functioning septic system, They have to have a certified inspector, which is somebody approved by the county health department, do the inspection. That inspection has to turn out to be.
So here's the next question I have for you. My understanding of why this all came to be is because IDEM had kind of changed the rules on the size of the drainage field for a septic system.
No.
That has nothing to do with that at this
Nothing to do
point.
with that.
I know that's why they wouldn't issue any new ones.
That rule has been around for many, many years. I have a septic system, I can tell you, I built in 1998, and it was around then. In any new construction with a septic system or alternative type of treatment, you have to have enough room for a duplicate of that system to be constructed on your property or something similar, such as a mound system. And of course, a lot of these homes are on a very small lot, so if their septic system doesn't work, they can't replace it. But the bill we're talking about wouldn't really allow that anyway. You have to either pass. Now, as some of, or all of you may know, of course, LaPorte County had issued a order, the health department, more accurately, basically prohibiting any new septic system and closing down the septic systems on the north side of Lakeshore Drive, and they all have to pump and haul out of their tanks. And then also, I'm not sure what the extent is, but even in other parts of Long Beach, you're not supposed to be putting in septic tanks.
Does this affect the project?
Yes, it would.
Does it affect the sanitary district's exposure financially in any way?
No, because if this goes through, again, this project that we reiterate frequently is solely the financial responsibility of Long Beach.
So it impacts them,
It would impact them.
and our exposure is
Our
zero?
exposure, well, if the project, if this were able.
Spent already.
Right, well, they would have to reimburse us.
We paid half of the engineering cost.
That's what I thought.
We have the contract.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they'll either have to pay us out. If the project goes through, there'll be an SRF loan, in which case we'll get the money right out of the SRF loan. If the project doesn't go through, Long Beach has to pay us, out of their own funds. But we won't know the full impact of until it gets passed, and they're making wording changes as we speak. So, what if anything, it's okay to bid the project and everything, by the time you get around to reviewing the bid and determining whether you're gonna award it, this law will either have passed or not passed, and the financial effect on it will have been assessed by the Carl Senders group, who's the financial consultant for the SRF loan. And the SRF themselves are going to want, Indiana Finance Authority, are going to want to see, what the impact is, and still verify that there'll be sufficient cash flow from the other customers to cover the loan payments down the road. But there's 3 more weeks this week, I think, and 2 more of the legislative session.
Yeah.
So we'll know sometime before then, the end of it, the result of whatever this
There's
is.
still no reason not to go get.
No, I don't see any
Still
reason.
get bids and everything.
No, a deadline of sorts here that's practical is we have to have, in order to be able to access the SRF funds, and all of you, whoever's knowledgeable about SRF knows they call them tranches, but buckets of money that's available in a particular year, and there's a couple different kinds. Once the year ends, and in the state, June 30th is the last day of their fiscal year, then you get to go into a new bucket. Now, we are approved to come out of the bucket for 2021. If we don't have a contract signed and approved by them by June 30, close of business June 30, then we have to go reapply, in essence, to get into what they would call the 2022-3 bucket. So that's kind of the magic date that we want to for sure hit, getting a contract signed and approved by SRF before June 30th. That's kind of built into the schedule that Ryan talked about, that they're trying to meet.
So Long Beach has exposure.
Yes, they have an exposure of
Do we have any obligation to represent them in any way?
No. Nope,
From that perspective, at least.
no.
So if they're, as long as Long Beach is willing to accept whatever risk they're at, then we don't have any reason not to proceed forward.
Right now, nobody has any risk because we haven't committed to anything other than we've been incurring engineering fees. Other than that, there's no commitment to do anything.
The only ones that are putting at risk are contractors who've been on the thing that may never happen.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
On the Cerebel Pond Restoration Project, I think we all know about this one in 2020. Applied Ecological Services put the herbicide on the Phragmite. Spring last year, in March I believe it was, the dead Phragmites was all burned off. In January of this year, last month, the next task for AES was to plant native seeds where all the Phragmites has been wiped out. And they got that done in January. And the timing, I guess, was pretty serendipitous because then the snow fell on it and that's supposed to help it work better.
That's great.
Yeah. Cerebel Pond parking lot lighting. Mike, I'll let you talk about that.
Yes, we've been pursuing a solution to that request as far as lighting. And I know John Gorsica met with Mr. Blakey at the two areas at Cerebel Pond, and subsequently also John Gorsica and Jim Michaels and myself went out there, and the challenge is the north end as far as access to power. I have reached out to NIPSCO, kind of played a little phone tag, but I'm expecting a call back from one of the engineers about possible access to power on the north end. I think that's going to be crucial as far as, I think we want obviously both parking lots to be illuminated, and that's the direction we go.
Okay.
So once we get that information, then we can try to get an estimate of cost. I think right now it would be, well, we just have what we have, just to solve that.
Okay.
So,
Any estimates from NIPSCO when they'll get back to you?
I got a voicemail, I didn't notice it yesterday, and I called them back today, it was in the early afternoon. And I've not heard yet, so I expect probably by tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Should get something.
Okay. Great. Okay. And I know you went out and met with, did you?
Yeah, I went out and I met with John
Okay.
from the Sanitary District last week. And then Mike and I had a discussion
Okay.
about the lighting. And I know there is a concern about trying to get NIPSCO, power ran to one of the lots. But I also looked up on the internet where they do sell solar powered street lights, and they have them installed all over the United States, where I think that might be a viable option to whereby, both in an environmental standpoint and the sustainability standpoint of the community, and there's another word I'm looking for that, both environmentally from the sustainability aspect, and also, what do you want to call it? Not solar, solar powered type energy to use instead of using NIPSCO and the regular power all the time. So, I did see it on the internet, and whenever you guys get talking with contractors who may be looking for bids, you could pose that to them if there's, some type of solar powered streetlights that we can use and not even have to pay NIPSCO for the power ran to those lights. Just cut them out altogether. So, yeah.
We'll look into that.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be as expensive as everybody maybe thought it once was going to be expensive. And also, because I did have discussions with Chief Campbell again, after talking to Mr. Cuss, and Chief Campbell is still fully supportive of this project, and at no time has ever said that he didn't want this done. And he says the best way to fight crime is to illuminate the areas and keep the bad guys out of the area for the most part. So, thank you.
Okay.
I did get some preliminary monies. I didn't think it was very expensive to take on. So,
Okay.
they did mention that it's been a couple weeks and I forgot which one it was. I asked about a solar light. They're a little more pricey, but somebody will have to do a benefit cost. What's the that kind of thing over the life.
So I think, just to add to that, in the meeting with John at the site, you did decide that perhaps like one pole with dual lights on each parking lot, at each parking lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one thing we discussed, but after, kind of traveling a little bit and looking at different parking lots and seeing how they got them lit, I would maybe put it in the hands of the lighting contractor that we're gonna hire to install the lights and say, go and see what their recommendations are
Okay.
to light up that parking lot. Yeah, I mean, I had my opinion, but I'm not a lighting expert.
Well, there's guides. I mean, there are guides on how many
you need per feet.
Yeah,
So,
that would be
yeah,
lux.
I mean, and
How
I
many
think,
blocks?
yeah. So when we get to that point, we'll do that. I mean, that's, I think will be in the bidding process, quite frankly. So,
Well, I also, sorry, one more thing. I did reach out to Skylar's office and spoke to his assistant, who said that he would forward guidelines about lumens, whatever the limitations we're talking about.
Right,
How much
parking
light,
lots, right, there are standards.
Yeah.
okay.
But I do want to say I appreciate Mike and the board continuing on to get these installed. I think it's going to be a worthwhile effort, and I think a lot of citizens are going to be happy when these are installed. Thank you.
All right. Good, Steve.
On the 300 North and US 421 South project, the only thing to report is that the engineer staff and I have been working pretty closely with Love's truck stop architect to be sure that their sanitary oil water separation, grease interceptor, grease traps, and so forth are going to be acceptable for connecting with our system. And after a couple of iterations, we think they're in a pretty good place. And when they take the revised plans for some kind of plan approval, we'll be supportive.
I will add to that, Steve, that NDOT has reviewed their traffic impacts study and all the signal work and lane work and everything near the intersection of 421, and we've approved their drainage and their traffic. So, NDOT's good with it at this point.
All right. Next project, Interstate 94 and US 35 LaPorte County TIF area project update. I don't really have any update on that project. Any thoughts on that one, Mr. Meyer?
No, I don't know anything.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything.
Next thing, energy savings project, just trying to keep the reports that Mr. Cuss had going, keep them going. You've got in your packet the January report that shows savings in January of approximately $8,800 on an unadjusted basis and almost $1,100 on the rate adjusted. 11,000 on the rate adjusted basis. So February was a pretty good month. Well, it was the use in January. It's on a February NIPSCO bill. That's why that's a little bit confusing. There's that. There's no blue swag report this month to discuss. South Shore double track project is not in the packet. The main thing I would like to call everybody's attention is that based on NICD's website updates, that 11th Street between Chicago Street and Michigan Boulevard is going to be closed starting February 28th all the way until mid-November of 2022.
Except for 3 crossings.
This is through traffic. I think the cross traffic in some areas is
Oh,
going to
yeah, right.
keep going.
You will not be able to go.
You won't be able to
East and
go
west.
east or west on 11th Street. That's
Right.
the way I interpret that.
Correct.
The US Highway 35 and 20 sewer extension, PER-SEH, submitted a final draft on February 7th. A copy of the executive summary is in the packet for your review. A couple of days after the SEH sent this out, we were informed that they're going to reissue it without the final draft watermark on the pages. And they've actually done that now. Those have been received.
Yes, they have.
So there's that.
On that one, the city is seeking grant funding to pay. So they've hired a firm and they've submitted a grant fund to pay for that. I think it's $3.7 million.
It's 3.8 million. 3.7.
So they're applying for a grant to pay for this.
That will be helpful. On the Renaissance Academy Sewer Acceptance Project, the last thing I got, and I put this in the packet, is a February 2nd email from Gary Radke to Jim Meyer with a map attached to it. Looks like Radke wants to revise the service area for the 4-inch pressure main.
Well, let me talk about this. Are all of you familiar, I assume all of you know where Renaissance School is.
Yeah, we had a couple discussions during the board meeting with this.
Right, about the 4-inch force main
Yes.
that we're going to take over.
Yeah, yep.
In order to accomplish that from a legal perspective, several things have to be done. Number one is that's within the area of the LaPorte County Regional Sewer and Water District. So they have to approve us providing sewer service in their area. They've already agreed, their board, but we have to draw the documentation up to accomplish that. In connection with that, there will be a drawing attached to that approval in identifying the area where we're allowed to put to provide sewer service. This drawing by Mr. Radke actually is a rendition by him, and I'm not enough of an engineer or surveyor to know if it's good, bad, or indifferent, as to what he believed would be the service area that could be served by that 4-inch force main if whatever properties in here were to connect to the 4-inch force main. Obviously, a 4-inch force main has a limited capacity. It's substantial, but it's still limited to some extent. What will probably happen, though, is because of the very jagged nature of this drawing, is for the approval by the LaPorte County Regional Sewer and Water District, we'll just, smooth out the line so there's a clear area that shows where we can or cannot provide sewer service.
Well, I was wondering about some of these homes like in here and here, they're drawn out of the service area. So will they do like a square or something?
I don't know what his thoughts were, and I haven't talked to Gary about it.
Okay.
But his goal was different than the one I'm talking. His goal was to see, okay, a 4-inch force main at 2 feet per second, will handle X amount of gallons per day, whatever that number is, and this is what they could hook up to it, using the IDEM numbers of 310 gallons per day for single-family home residents and other addition. Whereas what I'm looking for, what we need another one for is the approval by the regional sewer and water district to allow us to provide service in the area.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, would be much better, in my opinion, as a smooth-lined rectangle. The other thing that's going to be required, of course, is a sewer transfer agreement and use agreement with the Renaissance School. In the process of Anthony Novak is their attorney from Newby, Kaminsky and Lewis, and we're in the process of finalizing, discussions regarding that. There's a company called the East End Meat Market, or
Yeah.
anyway, I'm not familiar with it, but anyway, that's Mr. Radke's actually client. It, or he, the gentleman.
East side.
Okay. Somebody, his last name is Abu.
Yeah.
Wants to tie into this force main. So we'll also be working with him, or through Mr. Radke and their lawyer, if he has one, to, in essence, he's going to be required to pay for and have installed, they've already got most of it engineered, a force main from his property under 20 by directional boring, I'm assuming, and into there's a manhole at the end of this force main. And he's also planning on, sometime in the future, doing some residential development behind that East End Market.
Right here.
Okay, and that would be...
East side.
East side, I'm sorry, East Side Market. And that would also be tied into his system. So, anyway, it appears that probably by the next meeting, most of the documentation should be completed. I'll send it out for you guys to look at beforehand. And that would be the approval from the regional sewer and water district will just be basically a letter, a memo or something. Maybe they'll do a resolution. That's up to their lawyer, Barry McDonald, is their attorney, as to how they want to do the approval. We've done these before with them on smaller basis. And, like I said, it's already been cleared because we wouldn't go down this road this far if they hadn't already indicated that they were willing to go along with this.
Okay. And then Renaissance had a combination force main and gravity sewer. You talked about manhole that they would want to tie into.
There would be at the end, it's really not at use as I understand. Steve, have you been out there? I don't know.
You're talking about Highway 20,
Yeah.
35.
No, Highway 20 and, is that 35 or 39? I don't remember.
It's just 20 at that point.
Highway 20,
Yeah.
But they're also reserving capacity, the school, the right to hook up down the road for development of their property behind their current school building.
To try to answer your question, I'm not aware of a manhole per se on the Academy property. They have a lift station there at the headwaters of the pressure main.
Yeah, it's just, Jim had mentioned by East Side.
The lift station
tie
is
into a
in
manhole
a
or something, yeah.
manhole, right?
The wet well, and then you have a
Right.
force main that discharges to a gravity sewer somewhere away.
It discharges all the way down by Speedway into our
So by
into our
35.
system. We have a pump station at Speedway, which is in a wet well, and it discharges into that wet well, which then gets pumped along with the sewage from Indian Springs and other areas down there up Michigan Boulevard, what I call Michigan Boulevard, all the way north to Main Key, I think. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on there.
So Jim, just for
Question for you.
Yeah.
You know, we have that SRF loan that we're collecting from the Springs people. These people that would link in would pay some of that debt service?
No,
No.
no.
That was a nice try, though, Scott. I like your thinking.
Well, that thing's being paid off
I like
quick
it.
anyway. I was just looking to pay it off maybe
Yeah, a little
6 months
quicker.
earlier.
Yeah. No, I like that.
No, we have a sewer use agreement with Renaissance from way back,
Yeah.
when they first came into existence. And it took care of their cost of them tying in and whatever. So we're not, in theory, we're not increasing the capacity of what they're going to be using in our system because it was tied in as a 4-inch force main, which has a verifiable capacity by people like Steve and Gary Radke. Anyway, does anybody have any questions about it? Or?
More to come on that one.
Yeah, more to come.
Okay.
Next project, new airport runway sanitary sewer project. I have nothing new to report on that.
In the last meeting, you indicated that, well, I don't know, was it you or somebody was trying to meet with the director of the airport to kind of feel out of where we're at with assurance that there's actually going to be an FAA grant.
I was gonna talk to one of the commissioners over there, so
Okay.
I'll do that and I can.
Yeah, it's not an emergency, you know.
Yep.
No rush.
The engineers are still doing work.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 will be an underpass under the runway extension to the south, into that field that's south of the airport, yeah.
So what do you think of that?
I know that INDOT Aviation Group has done it in other airports through the state. There's been different places. I'm trying to think. There was at Purdue Road School every year. I know I went to a program a couple of years ago. I'm trying to think if it was an airport near Franklin or somewhere. I know they've just recently done that where they extended the runway and put the highway underneath the runway. So there's FAA's giving airports money, so.
You'll have to turn the camera off so I can voice my opinion on this project. But I'll leave it at that. Okay.
I just have a question, which one of those projects, anybody has any knowledge of, where you create a big slope or swale in the middle of a highway that doesn't have drainage problems down the road? Period.
I don't know if they're planning a gravity sewer to run east back towards the creek that crosses there by, just before you get to 94, or how they're handling the drainage there, but it's gonna be a long sewer if it's a gravity.
Yeah.
So I would imagine it would be a storm sewer pump system in the underpass, which we know those never go out of power or anything.
No, I'm gonna never break down.
I am aware of a similar project that, for the Ford Motor Company in northern Lake County. They actually had to put in a slurry wall so that to keep the pumping volumes reasonable.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask and make sure that was actually a serious project.
It's a serious project, but, you know, our lifetime, who knows?
All right.
In the interest of your good health, don't hold your breath.
Before you head out, Steve, I just had a question about this Adams Park real quick. So there's estimates on it, and there's grants being, applied for. Were those, is there preliminary drawings for this thing somewhere?
I believe the answer is yes to that.
Okay.
I'll have to
They're more
gather that up for you.
concept drawings.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not really engineered.
And then you said, we need $400,000.
There was a little more went into it
Okay,
than that.
Oh, yeah.
okay. That was it.
Yeah, that was kind of what I asked at the meeting this afternoon, if there was something available I could take a look at. And not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Yeah.
No, they have.
Got some, they've got.
Right, a
basic
drawing,
layout.
I mean, it would be a drawing like I would make.
Yeah.
And not like an
A little more
engineer.
than that. It's gonna
Yeah.
take.
Well, you would make your square.
Yeah, not zigzag.
Right, that's right.
But it looks like the actual match is a little less, because there's certain things that we can't do as part of it.
So it's early.
Well, I will say, Jeff, I know one thing that they talked about in the meeting today was that it will be a wetland bank development, so monies will be coming back to us as sections of the wetland are sold off as part of this wetland bank for development elsewhere within the same watershed.
And actually, the plan is for redevelopment to own that wetland bank, but that's the inducement for the redevelopment commission to pay.
Why is redevelopment getting?
Because they're gonna pay the money in order to be able to construct the wetlands, reconstruct the wetland.
It sounds like there's money to be made, and we should make it.
Considering this has to be paid out of your stormwater fund.
Which is never any money. I'm trying.
No, we need help.
Yeah.
All right, I understand.
Okay, anything else?
In keeping with tradition, I gave you a copy of the pre-treatment annual report. We submitted that early. And then the staff monthly reports.
Okay.
That will do it for me this evening.
Thanks, Steve, great job. Thank you, really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right. Jim? We have a resolution.
I was gonna say, I already talked about HP 1245.
Yep.
And there were documents in your board packet. I don't know if any of you saw them, but the sanitary district's title is the title owner of 2 lots along West 10th Avenue. And they're unimproved. The main reason they were unimproved for all this time is because they're 2 very large sewers that basically bisect the 2 lots. So there's very little room left over. Anyway, but it's really not here nor there, other than it has an impact on price. They border 11th Street, and that's, of course, where they're going to have the dual track now. So NICD, Northwest Indiana Community Transportation District, needs to acquire these for their dual tracking project. They, as required by law, had 2 qualified appraisers go out and do an appraisal each, and they came back with a combined value of $3,000 to be paid. I've had discussions with their lawyer, but more importantly, the staff at the sanitary district, John and others. I requested, and they did, lay out what they needed as easements. There's a large storm sewer and a large sanitary sewer.
I was just going to ask that if we're going to blanket easement or if there's a prescriptive, actually identified easement for our sewers.
We're going to have easements. There's going to be documents of legal description. Easements basically will be measured 15 feet from the center line of the sewers. Now the sewers are relatively parallel, not 100%, so it's kind of a why, but once you take those easements into account, there's not a whole lot left. I'm sure that neither NIPT nor anybody else is going to be building on those lots for anything. But in any event, we'll have protection through the easements. I will be presenting assuming you approve the sale today, I will be presenting the easement, the deeds and easement documentation at the next board meeting.
So there's no way to squeeze NICD for more money than $3,000?
Well, they operate under our same rules we do. You have to get an offer. Now, if we waited a month, because there's a bill in front of the legislature, which is probably going to be defeated, that requires municipalities, and NICD's not a municipality, but to pay 120% of the appraised cost, of the joint appraisal, which just makes cities pay more. But in any event, that's neither.
So there's 2 lots. You're talking about 2 lots.
There's 2 lots.
Sanitary and storm on each of these lots.
No, sanitary and storm, 1 each.
but they run parallel.
They kind of
They go
bisect.
diagonal across the property line,
Right.
basically.
It should be shown, it's shown in your,
The map, so the property, there's really two properties on the
Yeah,
property line,
right
like
here.
right in the middle of the two. So they can bisect one property in the northern corner, bisect the other property in the southern corner.
right.
basically.
And those pipes are going to be moved somewhat because they're going to be put them into, the steel casing that you put under railroad tracks.
Okay, sure.
So they gotta replace them to be able to do that.
Okay. Motion to sell, so what do we need?
Yeah, motion
You would
to
get a resolution.
approve the resolution.
Yeah.
You all have a resolution, I think.
Yep.
Resolution approving the sale of a small parcel of real estate to Nicky. And that's for $3,000. The drawing and the legal description are attached to that
Later this
resolution.
afternoon, Jeff, the resolution in effect.
Yeah,
Oh,
John,
okay.
Jim sent the resolution this afternoon.
All right.
So I'm looking for a motion to approve, is there a resolution number on it, Jim?
It's, it will be 1448-22.
So 1448-22, the sale of, to NICD to purchase parcel 38, correct?
Well, they identified it as the 38th parcel they're acquiring for this project.
Lot 2 and Lot 3 of Block 4 Blair's Park addition to the city of Michigan City. It's the last map on the resolution.
What Tim Warner said,
Yeah.
just like what he did to me earlier.
Yeah. I just
Motion to approve.
I got on and looked at an overhead map, and it appears as though that similar properties have been acquired in the area, very similarly priced. There were 3 or 4 that you can go over the map and hit it and you can pull up, at Beacon, Port County or whatever, to see what properties. And I was just curious what, properties maybe that had not even had, same issues with sewers going through them. So seems reasonable.
Okay.
From my view.
Thanks, Holt.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second this, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
There we go.
All in favor, Holt Edgar,
Aye.
Tim Warner,
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright, Tim Smith, aye, and Frank Harris. Motion passes. All right, so we'll have 3,000 more in our coffers. All right, anything else, Jim?
No, I don't think so. I'll answer any questions if anybody has any, but I can't think of
Any
any.
questions by any of the board members from our attorney? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for approval and allow revenue and tax levy claims to be paid, please.
So motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Holt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Tim Smith? Aye. Frank Harris? Frank? I'm sorry, we didn't hear you.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Motion approved. Any old business? Any old business? Any old business? Any new business? Any new business? Any new business? Seeing that there's none, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Holt?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Tim Smith? Aye. Frank Harris?
Voted nay.
Yeah, you should have. You're wanting to.
All right, and our next regular meeting will be March 23rd, 2002. Thank you very much for all attending.
I didn't send it to him, man.